Not going to be long today. Uh, it's not often that there's a time set aside to the stalwarts. It's not often that certain segments of the population are understood. Oftentimes they're misunderstood and oftentimes unappreciated. I salute all the fathers. And I want it known that the more we study Torah and rightly understand what our purpose is, and the importance of doing things His way and in His order, we will all come to the understanding that all of us are necessary to see this thing through. You know, this time of year is a time for reflection for a lot of the fellas. And that's not to say just because this is when this country recognizes Father's Day, but I think the older we all get, we do a more thorough introspection. And a lot of things that are brought to the forefront of our hearts and minds, sometimes we can get down about it, but you know, I will say to you, and I'm saying this to everybody, but particularly to the stalwarts. What has happened in your life has happened. And the only thing, the best thing any of us can do is to do our best. Because when you've done your best, and you've given your best, that's all you can do. That's all you can do. We're going to, I'm only going to be about 25 minutes. I'm kind of greedy. But I was happy that Greg's sister made that statement about somebody saying if it wasn't for men, none of us would be here. And I'm sure a lot of so-called scholars think that whoever that gentleman was, that he spoke out of turn. But if you will, let's go to Genesis. And let me read a little something here. Genesis, and I'm going to start in 1, but I'll start in 126. And they have here, they say, then God said, let us make humankind in our image, in the likeness of ourselves, and let them rule over the fish in the sea, the birds in the air, the animals and over all the earth, and over every crawling creature that crawls on the earth. 27 says, so God created humankind in his own image. In the image of God, he created, and then they have here him. Male and female, he created them. Now, I want to say something here. You know, in this country, we read from right to left, and most of us particularly are familiar with a certain version, Verion, of the Bible, and a lot of us have, I guess, they're going down that hill. I will say this, the Bible is not necessarily written in the chronological order as we come across it. But I just want you to keep that in mind, that possibly that could be the case. So God created humankind in his own image. In the image of God, he created him. Male and female, he created them. Yah blessed them. God said to them, be fruitful, multiply, fill the earth, and subdue it. And then I'll just skip. Then God said here, throughout the whole earth, I am giving you as food every seed-bearing plant and every tree with seed-bearing fruit, and to every wild animal, bird in the air, creature crawling on the earth, in which there is a living soul. I am giving as food every kind of green plant. And that is how it was. God saw everything that he made, and indeed it was very good. So there was evening and there was morning, a sixth day. I'm going to drop down in 2, and then it says in 2:7, and they use Adonai. I like to say, and Yahweh formed a person from the dust of the ground and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, so that he became a living being. Down in 15, it says, Yah took the person and put him in the Garden of Eden to cultivate and care for it. Back in 7, now he told him to care for it. That was some orders given. They weren't suggestions. But let me go back to 7. Then it says, then Yah formed a person from the dust of the ground and breathed in his nostrils the breath of life, so he became a living being. Now they keep using, and again, some of this I think was giving some of us a problem. English at times doesn't do us justice. And I'm going to keep saying that, and I'm not anti-English, because that's, as I would say, I guess that's my first language. But I tell you, things got watered down the more they translated, the more they transliterated. But, you know, we'll get through it. And it says, and he took the person and put him in the garden to cultivate and care for it. And God gave the person this order. Now, I don't know why they translated the person, but they're not talking about Francis. She is a person. But he says, and God gave the person this order. You may freely eat from every tree in the garden except the tree of what? Knowledge of good and evil. You are not to eat from it, because on the day you eat from it will become certain that you will die. In 18, it says, well, we know this story. He says, it isn't good that the person should be alone. Now notice how they said the person shouldn't be alone. Now I know earlier they said, but there is said in there that he created him, male and female. And I said to you earlier, everything isn't the way that we read it in English. Some things, it's not all chronologically in order the way we've been taught to read and study the Bible. And in fact, even in our studies, again, a lot of these things that we're reading, they are things that even apply to us today. Because see, the orders that was given to the person, they still hold true today. Even though society has passed what we call laws or legislation, and we have a lot of things that sometimes go contrary to what the Torah or the instructions say. I'm getting to what Bernita had said earlier. And y'all said it isn't good that the person should be alone. I will make for him a companion suitable for helping him. So from the ground, Yah formed every wild animal and every bird that flies in the air, and he brought them to the person to see what he would call them. Now I'm reading this again in English. Whatever the person would call each living creature, that was to be its name. So the person gave names to all the livestock, to the birds in the air, and to every wild animal. Curious thing here, though. It says, but for Adam, there was not found a companion suitable for helping him. Now, I didn't write this. I'm just reading it. All right, well, you know most of the story. Let me skip down a little bit. I see it's going pretty fast. Well, we know that when he put the person to sleep, again, in English they say, basically a rib or something was taken from him. It was closed up, and a man with a womb was created. And that's really where woman come from. That's man with a womb. And, that person, whoever made that statement, Isha came out of Ish. She came out of him. Yes, the Most High he created them both. I'm going somewhere with this a little later. because another entity entered the fray, and there was some conversation going on, and doubt was placed in the conversation, and we know things kind of went contrary to the orders that were given, and this did not please the Most High, and so he had something to say to each person or entity that had a part in his directives or his instructions not being followed. And I want to read something to you. In 3:14, and Yah said to the serpent, because you have done this, you are cursed more than all livestock and wild animals. You will crawl on your belly and eat dust as long as you live. This is key. I will put animosity between you and the woman, and between your descendant and her descendant. He will bruise your head, and you will bruise his heel. Now, all of us know that, some of us would grudgingly agree that the seed of life was in Adam. Some may not. I'm just sharing with you what my little feeble brain came up with. But when Yeshua came on the scene, he's referred to as what? The Son of God and the Son of Man. Now, we all know the story. Yeshua didn't come the same way all of us that are here. He didn't come the same way. But most of us know it says somewhere that the seed of the woman would do something to the perpetrator. Now, of course, we know about Cain, we know about Abel, but they got here through conventional means. Adam knew his wife. They produced offspring, which was following orders, because he said, be fruitful and multiply. And all of this has something to do with Father's Day, I'm going to get back to it. But when Yeshua came, what did the angel tell us? Said, listen, the Holy Spirit will overshadow you. So, going back to my earlier statement, Yeshua was a product of the Holy Spirit, and Mary said, hey, be it as you say, be it that way. But Mary still came out of, and not John's Mary. Well, yeah, John married too, but Mary came out as a result of the seed of her father, whoever that was. But Yeshua was different. And see, fathers and mothers, but I'm talking to fathers mostly today. The real Pastor Green used to always say, Jesus is our example. Remember that? He used to always say that, all the time say that. And he is. because he followed Torah to death, then to life. Listen at this now. Because Adam and the men, we've talked about this. In fact, we hardly can get out of Genesis. And it's just wonderful. I mean, we talk about other things too, but I will put an animosity between you and the woman, and between your descendant and her descendant. He will bruise your head and you will bruise his heel. I'm not going to read, we all know what he said to the woman. But then he says to Adam, see, because he has an order. And fathers, you have a great responsibility. And we thank the Most High for you. He says, but listen to what he said. He says to Adam, the Most High says, because you listened to what your wife said and ate from the tree about which I gave you the order, you are not to eat from it. And this is what has never changed. Even in, because people like to tell the Most High, and they like to tell believers, this 2025, man. Well, let me stay in the right spirit. It says, you're not to eat from it. The ground is cursed on your account. And listen to this. And you will work hard to eat from it as long as you live. It will produce thorns and thistles for you, and you will eat field plants. You will eat bread by the sweat of your forehead till you return to the ground. For you were taken out of it, you are dust, and you will return to the dust. Now we know after they had partook of that thing, the Most High said, "Oh my goodness, hey, they just like us now, knowing good and evil. And I can't let them get to the tree of life, because man, they'll be in that polluted state forever." So of course we know the story. He drove them out. And why did I keep talking about Mary being obedient and assisting in bringing forth Yeshua? Adam was responsible to carry out the instructions that he was given, and his helpmeet should have assisted him. And again, I'm not throwing blame and not trying to, this is why this is, I'm not saying that. I'm saying she was to support him. And gentlemen that have good helpmeets, God bless you. You still have challenges in life, and we'll still have challenges in life, but it's a little easier when you got a good helpmeet. So don't take her for granted. And ladies, of course, it's our week, so don't take us for granted either. But I think what has happened We've gotten things all out of whack. And we're trying to cross-pollinate roles. And it's creating chaos, and we got mixed up people. Mm. 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 Fathers, oftentimes, you've probably felt that, hey, nobody's listening. We have heard you. And, quite often, sometimes we hear things from our parents, but I'm zeroing in on fathers today. Sometimes we'll hear things from our father, and if we're not careful, we'll do exactly what Adam did. We'll hear it, and really, we know we should not only give an ear to it, but we should do it. But for some reason, our focus can be diverted. Because when he brought her around, he was, oh my goodness, because I'm sure she was a sight for sore eyes. And gentlemen, we have to listen. It's imperative that we stay focused on the instructions, because the instructions are what will help us to be, and I'm going to use this word, to be successful in life. And the success, I'm not just talking about acquiring stuff. See, again, I said earlier, what you've done in your life, you've done. And I'm telling you, again, I still submit to you that if you have been fruitful and you have multiplied, some days it's frustrating, some days it's chaotic. But I believe you've still done a good thing. And I want to encourage you today is don't listen. Don't just be satisfied because you've been called to do the things. Fellas, you want to be one of the chosen. Because there's a scripture, and a lot of fraternal organizations use it also. They say, many are called, but few are chosen. You want to be one of the chosen, not just the called. Adam abdicated his responsibility. You could say, and again, I'm not throwing rocks at Adam. You know why it was Adam and not Barry? Because I would have messed up worse than he did. So I'm not saying this like, and we need to keep that in mind when we're reading about people. The reason we're reading about them and they're not reading about us because maybe we couldn't cut mustard. And so that'll take maybe some of the haughtiness we might be harboring. How could they be so stupid? Look at our lives. Many of us look at episodes in our lives, and we have said that. So how could I be so blind? How could I be so silly? How could I be so foolish? I'm here to tell you, okay, yes, you did those things. But you still want to be one of the chosen. Keep coming, keep coming, keep coming. You blessed, have a family, you got offspring. Keep working with them. Yes, I know it can be frustrating. And again, I'm not saying this like I think it's a piece of cake. I got God children, and I'm not going to lie. I'm going to see how many texts and phone calls I get by Monday. I'll give them till Monday. I mean it. See, sometimes fathers, I would imagine sometimes you probably feel like a old faithful shoe. And sometimes, I mean, you know, and it's not the nice boots. That's you know, they wear that on sunshiny days. We're like the old shoe or boot when it's nasty, rainy, cold. Put your feet in them and you go out in it. Sometimes that's how we feel. And I'm here to tell you again, keep coming. Keep coming. Keep coming. Because he sees that. And he wants you to keep coming. Don't get discouraged. You're talking to your kids, and it's like they may not ever see it your way, but I remind you of this. He says, listen, son, if you get yourself together, I'll get in there. I'll get them in. I'll get them in. I'll get them in. You really love your seed? Keep praying for them. Sometimes you might have to choke them, but don't choke them too tough. But I can only imagine it gets frustrating sometimes. But don't give up, man. Keep coming. Like I said, our goal, yes, to follow Torah, but you want to be one of the chosen, not just the called. Adam listened to Eve, and he went along with it. And Yeshua, golly, I didn't even get the chance to set it up. I see. Well, I want to show you something. Yeshua, he listened to his mother at the wedding. Go to 17, and then I'm gonna close for real. I'm gonna close. See, what I'm trying to convey to us is, it's okay to listen to the sisters. We should consider they are full of wisdom. Of course, confer. How some of the so-called high-class people, well, I'll confer. Okay, well, you confer. They were at the wedding, and y'all know the story. And 17, no, I'm sorry, John 2. Now, the difference is when Adam listened, he should have stood firm. And again, I'm not saying this because I would have messed it up more. But Adam gave an ear, or he went in, and they displeased the Most High. Yeshua came to a wedding. I'm gonna show you something. 2 days later, there was a wedding at Cana in Galilee, and the mother of Yeshua was there. The mother's seed the mother's seed. Yeshua was invited to the wedding along with his talmidim. The wine ran out. You know I would have been leaving. The wine ran out, and Yeshua's mother said to him, "They have no more wine." Yeshua replied, "Mother, why should that concern me or you?" Watch this. Then he says, "My time hasn't come yet." Now that's a mouthful right there. But here we've got two scenarios. The woman got in a conversation with another entity, and you know what happened. And the scriptures even say, and she turned to her husband and what? Gave it to him, and because he was with her. And here we got another situation where the seed of the woman was, I guess, suggesting or making her seed aware that, hey, we at this wedding and they run out of wine. And Yeshua responded. See, I'm trying to say Yeshua was on point with the instruction. And all through his life, particularly when he said, what? Not my will, but yours be done. In other words, he never got off point with the instruction. And so he says, why should that concern me or you? My time hasn't come yet. He was focused. He was focused. Fathers, we got to stay focused. Now, I'm not saying that we have the same, our blood is tainted. You know, for one of us, where I would have died on that cross. Nah, we didn't qualify. We didn't qualify. But again, in your wanting to be one of the chosen, not just the called, stay focused. Listen to your help me, particularly when they're trying to help you do the things of the Most High. Because that's really what they're supposed to be doing. That term, what is it, exer connecto? If you're doing the things of the Most High, she gonna help you. But when we start going astray, she can be a nightmare. Most High set it up that way. Why should that concern me or you? My time hasn't come yet. His mother said to the servants, do whatever he tells you. Now, here, people are saying, well, what's the difference? What's the difference? He still listened to his mother. Yes, he did, but he never lost focus on what he was here to do. He never lost. See, and that's what a chosen person to do. Yes, you're going to be a good father. You're going to be a good husband. You're going to be a good sibling. You're going to be a good uncle. You're going to be all of those things. But you realize the only way I'm going to get this stuff done, I got to stay locked in with the Torah. I got to stay, Father, what is the next instructions? Help me to understand them. Help me to live them out in my life. Help me to be what you want me to be. He never lost focus. And he had, listen, he had episodes. Remember how he went in and he ran him out the temple and stuff? So, again, he wasn't a robot. And sometimes we're looked at that way. It's like we're human. I pray. I'm going to sit down because I'm hungry. I can hear my stomach. Gentlemen, I salute you. I appreciate you. And it's going to be all right. Because even when sometimes, and you feel like, what's the use? Nobody's looking or nobody's paying attention. You ain't doing it for them anyway. You're doing it for yourself. You're doing it for the one that made you. God bless you.